How's it going, garden people? Welcome back to the Hidden Gardens. Blustery day on the Cape today for our back gardens winter walkthrough. I'll link the front gardens winter walkthrough in the description below. In the pot to the left, there was the blue weeping Atlantic cedar, 15-25 feet tall, 6 to 8 wide, hardy down to zones 4 to 5, up to 8 to 9. Part shade to full is what the tags read. I found this tree is probably going to work better on this tree line here where these North Pole arbs are. So these arborvitaes, I've talked about them before. North Pole arborvitaes, zones 3 to 8, part sun to sun, 10 to 15 tall, 3 to 5 feet wide. Around here, if they're in too much sun, they're going to burn. So under a tree line, under a story line, seems to work fairly well for them. Right here we have a dwarf Hinoki cypress. I can't find the tag to figure out the variety, but it gets about 8 feet tall, 4 feet wide. Slow growing, so that's over about a 10-year period or so. And if it's in more sun, then it gets a nicer golden color. These I'm probably going to move off the tree line a little bit and into a little bit more sun. Moving on, we have Pinpoint Blue and Gold False Cypress. Gets zones 5 to 7, part sun to sun, 15 to 20 feet tall, 5 to 6 wide. And this one does seem to do really well on this tree line, and it's tall enough, so we're going to keep this over here somewhere. I've really enjoyed this Cypress. The foliage is really, really pretty when it comes down to the different seasons. It'll change and shift just slightly with some silvery bluish foliage, golden hued type of foliage, which would come out more if it was in a little bit more sun. This is more of a part shade area, but really, really pretty. Still developing this whole back area, so there's still quite a bit of placements to go. Might move those arbs down, possibly move these rhododendrons around a little bit, we'll see. These are the Anna's Magic Ball, and those are zones 3 to 8, part sun to sun, 2 to 3 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide. And they're really, really pretty, so there's quite a few of those in the backyard here. Those are teeny that I just planted, so they're teeny. And the rhododendrons are cold, quite a few varieties. I might go through those when they flower. Next up, we have the Weeping Alaskan Cedar, the Pendula variety, which when I went initially to the nursery center, I ended up with the Atlantic Cedar, which I'm going to probably plant along this tree line as well. But this one is so pretty and what I originally was going for. It gets about 25 feet tall, 12 feet wide. Over time, might get a little bit bigger. I'm certainly looking forward to finding out. Next up is Fluffy. It's a Western Arborvitae, and it goes zones 5 to 8, part sun to sun, 5 to 10 feet tall, 3 to 6 feet wide, and that's the lighter colored one right there. I do have one that's in more sun. This is, again, underneath this tree storyline. So at the end of the video, I'll compare the two colors in the two different shade areas. But it's a very pretty tree. I love the color in the fall. I do like it in the more part shade area. And this is one of 3 that are planted in the ground so far along the property. Next on the list is the Emerald Green Arborvitae hedge that I have on the back wall here. So this, I believe I'm going to call the Emerald City garden, considering the, emerald green arbs. But they get 15 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide, full sun. They're zones 4 to 8. I bought these trees bigger than, just a little bit smaller. So these about 2 years or so they've been in. So hoping for that 3rd year leap situation at this point. And it's definitely a needed privacy screen, as you can see the house behind the tree here. And again, underneath the tree lines above because arbs are sensitive as far as afternoon harsh sun. Or at least that's what I've noticed around driving around my area. And that's the best way to kind of gauge some plants and how they do in your area, is drive around and look at other people's gardens. Another fluffy arb back there, as well as there's another camellia back there. This area still needs some work. Some azaleas in there as well. And as you can see, we've got a packed house in the greenhouse. These plants I'll move all out soon as it kind of starts to rise in temperatures, and that'll give space for all the seedlings that are starting inside. Next up, we have Mr. Bowling Ball arbs, and these are zone 3 to 8. Full sun, 24 to 30 inches tall and wide. I planted these fairly late, so they're looking quite a bit rough, but I think they'll pull out of them and they will hopefully look really nice in these pots. We'll see. Get into more cleaning soon. But for now, we've got the yardline viburnum that were all planted early fall. They seem to be holding their own. Some are a little rough looking, but for the most part, they're pulling through, which is good. They are a zone 7 to 9, part sun to sun, 6 to 12 feet tall, 3 to 4 feet wide. Not this one. This one's a camellia. I'll go through all the varieties of the camellias, both in the back garden and the dog area, I think, in a different video, because there's quite a few. But those are pretty, and I can't wait for those to get bigger and grow up. But moving along, you'll see more viburnums in between these camellias. And the raised bed garden is still something that's going to be changed along and moved, but we'll say hello to my shadow. We'll call it Neverland, and regardless of whether we keep the wood raised beds or we go with metal, and I'm not sure. This whole area still needs some work, so we'll see. But for this coming season, it'll be a great area for production while I work through what it is that I want to do and change and all the planning for it. And in the meanwhile, all these evergreen plants are already starting to grow and fill in a nice screening along this fenced-in area. And the back view, the fluffy arb over in the dog area, this is the one that's in more sun, and you can see the golden, some might say burnt brownish, depending on the way you look at it, coloring. It's very pretty in the fall, but the darker coloring, not so much. As well as this camellia's got a little bit of browning too. This is in more sun than a majority of the other ones, so that might have something to do with it. We'll see. It might pull through as well. It is a very pretty plant, so it's just looking a little cold. Next up, another Chamaecyparis soft serve false cypress, and this one gets about 6 to 10 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide, part sun to sun. I've really liked that plant. I've got 2 of them, so we'll see how they do. Got some catmint, rosemary to cut back. We might replace some of that. I think I want to bulk up the evergreen screening along this fence line as well. We'll see what options we have available. It's a tight area here. So as you can see, we have some more camellias, and those are doing much better than that one in a little bit more sun, but we'll see how things go. Moving on, another false soft serve false cypress right there, and behind it is this Bigfoot cleara, full sun to part sun, and it's zone 7A to 10B. We're technically a 7B at this point. I consider it as just a straight zone 7, but 15 to 20 feet tall, 5 to 6 feet wide. I'm hoping that plant starts to look better come spring. We'll see. Along with this loropetalum that is looking a little rough as well. And that one gets 4 to 6 feet tall, 4 to 5 feet wide or taller. Zone 7 to 9, full sun. So we'll see how that loropetalum holds out, how the cleara holds out. But here's the coloring on the fluffy Arborvitae. Super pretty in the fall. Now, a little bit golden brown, but I think come the spring it'll perk up really nice. Here it is compared to the one in the back. And here is the fall coloring for the one in the back. Little dahlia update. Seems to be pulling through, so we might have some good dahlias for the cut flower area, which will be nice. So I hope that this video inspires you to take a look around your garden and see what's going along in the winter garden. There's a little update on the castle spires up front. We're protected from the bunnies, so we're going to find something prettier for that, and we'll be happy to have those as a screening plan as well. So I hope that this video inspires you to continue along on your gardening journey, whatever that looks like for you. And thanks for coming along on mine. I hope you'll consider subscribing so you can see how things unfold come this gardening season.